Hello, welcome back to X-Men Classics. This is episode number 9, and in this episode we're covering issues 14 to 16, the first Sentinel Saga. This three-parter introduces the Sentinels along with introducing Bolivar Trask and the machine that helps create the Sentinels, Master Mold. So basically, this issue opens up, picking up like not long after the events of the previous issue, of the previous two issues, where the X-Men are still kind of recovering from the Juggernaut. And it's still Jay Gavin as the co-artist of the book. And they're basically going through some physical therapy. So I guess it's probably at least like a month that's probably passed by since the Juggernaut showed up. And then all of a sudden we get we turn away after their little training session. We turn away to see the first actual appearance of Bolivar Trask, the creator of the Sentinels. Who, those of you who have read Second Coming, this is the guy who showed up in the event, but he didn't do very much because he was mainly showing up in the pages of X Factor and their tie-in to Second Coming. Really awesome crossover. I'd recommend it. He tells them the mutants are dangerous. And so he has a way to deal with them. And of course, the X-Men go out in their civilian form. They basically take like a week off from their duties because they fully recovered from their injury stuff at the hands of the Juggernaut. So everybody just leaves. And then he gets the paper and he reads the paper about the Mutant Menace. Now, the paper he's reading from here, it's a different newspaper that he was reading in issue 3. This one's called the Daily Globe. And as far as I know, this is an actual newspaper. This is a regular, recurring newspaper in the pages of the Marvel Comic Universe. The Daily Globe is known for being associated with the pages of Amazing Spider-Man. Not as much as like the Daily Bugle, which is shown up in like a lot of the Marvel Comic Universe. The Daily Globe is like the second stringer, and basically, they tell them about the supposed future where mutants rule the world. So Xavier decides to take action. He calls up the National Television Network. Now this is something quite odd though. How the heck did he get this? How did he get this number? And somehow now normally if this was, let's say, modern day, he would call on the FCC about this, not the National Television Network. This is odd. He tells them his name. It tells the program director immediately he wants to engage debate, a public television debate with Bolivar Trask, and they are happy to have him. Now, this is a particularly very good point in the book. Now, first you hear from Xavier's point of view on the debate, and then after he finishes, his speech only lasts maybe about, I'd say, about 2 panels. Now, Trask does respect. He's not stupid. The one thing I'm glad that Stan Lee writes, he doesn't write him to be stupid. He writes him to be. He respects Xavier, but he believes that he's wrong. And all of a sudden, he takes that machine, and then he turns around. And we see the first appearance of a Sentinel. Now, these are the Mark I Sentinels. Why do I say Mark I? Because there's been many different versions of them over the years. Though after this, the Sentinels don't show up again until around issue 50, when Bolivar's son Larry Trask becomes the Sentinels master. And you see more Sentinels, and then almost immediately the Sentinels turn on Bolivar Trask, and they take him, but they leave Xavier there. And then somehow he sends a telepathic message to the X-Men basically to call off their little vacation. Because of the whole thing with the Sentinels. And, even Warren, who's having dinner with his parents, basically politely apologizes that he has to leave. Look out that I think they at least, I think they had their dinner. I would say, yeah, he already had his dinner, so well, one Sentinel says behind while the rest of the Sentinels take Boulevard Trask back to his factory. And then all of a sudden they attack a Sentinel, and the Sentinel just gets knocked over, and Cyclops hurries best he can to the TV station until the X-Men fight their first Sentinel, and all of a sudden the Sentinel just stops and falls dead. And this is a mystery that will basically try to figure out over the next couple issues. So Beast was somehow like injured, and Angel's taken. He lands top of a train. Lucky enough, he survives. Which just happened to be the train that Jean Grey just happens to be on, just by coincidence. Yep. And he gathers up some of the X-Men over there, which is basically just Beast, Cyclops, and Iceman. And of course, Angel swoops by with Jean, and they try to figure out what caused the and they're still pondering. They haven't figured out exactly what Sentinel's playing. They're trying to figure out like what caused the Sentinel to collapse. That is their task right now. So, and you gotta love this artwork. Basically, here's some of the factory of the Sentinel factory that were Trask built the Sentinels. And the X-Men basically go to supposedly the Sentinel base, and then issue 14 ends with the base sort of activating, and its self-defense is basically start attacking the X-Men. Now, issue 15 is also the cover of this actual trade, so yeah, it's a nice cover. That's issue 15 cover. This issue also has the origin of the Beast. Now, this origin was kind of a little more expanded upon in the Roy Thomas backup feature that he would do in the pages of the series. So, issue 15 picks up right where the last issue leaves off. They're still trying to avoid the Sentinels, the Sentinel Fortress, the fortress's weapons. So, they just try to blast their way through, and a couple of them get inside, basically just Iceman and Beast, and they're taken by the Sentinels. It's like Master Mold, and they're like, now here's the first. This is what Master Mold looks like when he made his first ever appearance in the comics. This is Master Mold created by Jack the King Kirby. This is how he's drawn, and he's freaking huge. I mean, the way his size looks. He looks like the size in the Empire State Building. He's larger than the actual Sentinels, which, those of you are thinking of the Sentinels, you're probably thinking of the ones that we're seeing in Days Future Past. I would say that the ones that appear in the are about the same height as the ones that appear in this issue, because they're not like really gigantic. Master Mold is much more tall. He's a giant. And he tells them wants to create more Sentinels to attack the humans. So, Xavier tried to get back. The way to get past the defenses is just to knock all the Sentinels out. They still have Beast, and they want to examine him. And of course, they get through the defenses, and somehow because these three Turret guys are knocked unconscious, they're just So one Sentinel reactivates itself, basically says that they're humans. They don't detect they're actually mutants. Somehow he's probably so blind to that. He goes straight to Section 1 leader, and it cuts to a flashback of Beast's origin story, of kind of how Xavier recruited him. He got his powers. Basically, a bully attacked them. Kind of the same thing with Iceman as well. And they find in Angel, Marvel Girl, and Cyclops first find the captive Iceman, who's basically frozen in ice. And they take out their little guide, their guide Sentinel, and they do. And the next step do is find Beast, and they show more of Beast's flashback, like he was a football player, and somehow this getting the attention of Xavier. So he volunteers to take him to his school, and Xavier basically goes around and then he says to ask for help to find Beast. so second probe. He breaks the second probe. He managed to carefully get back to, even though he's almost like mentally wounded, he managed to get back to his body perfectly fine. And the X-Men still take on the Sentinels, and then issue 15 ends where they're planning. The Sentinels are taking Trask to make him to an actual robot. Then issue 16. Here's the cover for it, with Master Mode on the cover. And so it continues right where the last issue leaves off. And somehow the military, these civilians found him, and they don't know that he's the real leader of the X-Men. Cyclops is just a deputy leader. So you have more dealing with the X-Men, the Sentinels, and this is quite interesting. And there's policemen trying to do kind of like a CSI type thing. This is in the 60s, mind you. So we go, what the heck is wrong with this thing? And then somehow Xavier's brought back to figure out about the Sentinel. Somehow they found him. And he just sends a micro. He just thinks he's staring. He doesn't know about this stuff about the abilities. And he points to this crystal that's across the street. Apparently, the Crystal Products building. Apparently, that's what caused the Sentinel to collapse. And this is what helped. This is the key to help defeating the Sentinels. And the Sentinels are doing whatever to the X-Men. More fighting breaks out in the issue. And then the cops bring this very crystal with Xavier to the Sentinels' base. And somehow this knocks all the Sentinels out. They manage to short circuit the other Sentinels, and actually he's not taken to make himself a robot, but they want to make more Sentinels, and he says no, and he smashes the machine, and he actually dies. Trask dies, though he doesn't stay dead for very long. He actually stays dead for years, and somehow the X-Men defeat the Sentinels, and base collapses, and there's Master Mold with Trask on top of him, and then the issue ends with a shadowy figure at the Xavier Institute. Overall, what I think of these 3 issues. These 3 issues were 3 really good issues. It was epic, exciting, and it felt more raising the stakes than way was for the Juggernaut. The Juggernaut was simply just attacking the Xavier Institute and attacking Xavier. The Sentinels were going to take over the world. So the X-Men has sort of become actual heroes in a way, and they're not recognized as freaks or something to be even not throwing tomatoes at them or stuff like that. I mean, you get some really noteworthy things about the story. Of course, some of the material from this particular 3-part story does get used for Days of Future Past, like the whole thing with Bolivar Trask. Not much from Master Mold. He doesn't appear in the movies. But Master Mold himself, his only known appearance on screen was during the X-Men animated series in the 90s. Yeah, that's his only known. That's the only time he's ever shown up outside the comic. Was in that very series. And you got great artwork by Jack King Kirby. Great writing, and I like the fact Trask is not written to be so stupid. Yes, some writers actually write characters to be stupid. Nobody's stupid in the story. Everybody's in character. Thank you, Stan Hanley. And he's one person who can write characters correctly. And they defeat the Sentinels, and the ending, like the way the ending of not much the ending of the previous 2-parter. This one does set up the next 2 issues of the series. So, basically, overall, I give X-Men, number 14 to 16, these 3 issues overall, I give each of them piece a 9 out of 10. Great issues. I highly recommend it when you get a chance to pick up this particular trade. Alright? So, stay tuned for the next episode, which will be episode number 10, and I'm covering issues 17 and 18. So, until then, see you there. Bye.